Hi, I'm a food anarchist. Today I'm going to talk to you about the concept of food as medicine and my experience with that. In my last video I spoke about, with sharing my story, I spoke about food is free and the discovery I had around that. But at the same time, I discovered food as medicine. I was growing tobacco and tomatoes in my gardens. The first thing I grew. They're both companion plants. Tobacco is actually an amazing plant for your garden. Or maybe I'll talk about that later, eh? So there I was, feeling really unwell and laying around in my garden. One of my tomatoes became ripe. I'm so excited, oh gosh, I'll eat this tomato, and I took a bite of it, and it felt like my whole body just exploded. And I'm looking at this tomato, I'm going, there is something in this. This has affected my body. So that many years ago, 10 maybe more, I started doing research on food as medicine, and anybody with cardiomyopathy and atrial fibrillation, looking at that time, would have found that there was only information about taking pills. That's all there was. So I started to really notice what happened when I ate food, and sharing that information with people. What I discovered with coloured food, red food especially. There was information around legumes being good for your heart. But the other thing I've discovered was curries. I was eating curry, and it held me really well, and I felt fantastic. So I started to focus on the food that made me feel good, and becoming aware of my cravings for things. And started sharing that information. Of course, now when you look on the internet and search information around that sort of thing, curries contain herbs and spices, and they've linked these herbs and spices to blood flow and that sort of thing. So I pursued it. I had a go being vegan, because I felt that healthy and all that, and I nearly ended up in hospital because of that. My metabolism requires me to eat meat, probably because it doesn't digest quick enough for other things to hold me, or whatever. I don't know the reason, but I do know I need to eat meat, otherwise I become very unwell. Yeah, and I've studied it all, we're talking 15 years now. I love the way people keep trying to tell me, oh, vegan, it's not true. Your body requires what it requires, and my body requires meat. So I followed this food, and what I found was that I was able to remove some of the pills I was taking. I was on 18 pills a day at that time, sleeping most of the time, as I mentioned before. And I eventually got down to like 1 or 2 pills that I was taking. From 18 pills a day to 1 or 2 pills. And it held me really well. But what I did need to do is be very conscious of my diet, and if I missed a meal, man, I suffered. I really suffered. So I started eating curries in the morning, and having a lot of protein, and the carbs is another thing that I require. Complex carbs as well, yeah. Pasta and rice and potatoes. So that was a wonderful thing, and with the guerrilla garden, it grew and grew because I had the help of woofers. A lot of them are vegetarian, so I was able to feed them for free. And they showed me recipes from overseas, and different ways to prepare food and that sort of thing. So yeah, my food as medicine, I did it for a long time, and it wasn't until I lost the guerrilla garden as a result of Auckland Transport being assholes, that I had to start taking medication again because I didn't have all that fresh food. The other thing that happened during that time was a lady spoke about dead food and alive food. Now I graze in the garden. I eat, there's something nice to eat, a lettuce or, a radish seed pod or something, and wrap it up and eat this food. And a lady said to me, the food you buy in the supermarket is often being frozen, or not frozen, chilled and that sort of thing, and it's actually dead. The food is actually dead. So when you're eating it, you're eating dead food. And when you're eating live food, and I'm talking about picking it out of the garden, or half an hour from the garden to table, it's live food. You're putting live food, and you're actually telling your body to live. It's actually telling your body to live, and that really hit home for me, because that's how I felt in eating the food I did. I realise this video is going on for a bit longer than a lot of my videos, because I feel so passionate about this, and I'm really fortunate to have a doctor that is prepared to let me try different things and respects my desire to not take medication. So I'm going to cut it there. That's another part of my story. I'll probably share a bit more, and I hope that you manage to stay with me long enough to share my story. Thank you. Food is free. Food as medicine. Food anarchy.